Tim Julian, former mayor of the city of Utica, on the line here right now. Good morning, Tim.
Morning, guys.
Utica with a big loss, the passing of a longtime Utica employee, Mike Fanelli.
Oh, geez. This so disheartening to read that and to see that. And Mike was a great guy. Even those people who didn't know him, I'm sure you knew him. You saw him out there somewhere. Most of the time, he worked alone. He worked with tools and equipment that were so outdated and outmoded because of what the city could afford, yet he made it all work. He worked through the Hannah years of changing a sign by the minute. Just during those years, imagine you had to change the sign on the door of who the DPW commissioner was.
Right.
So, and he was the type of guy who would come in and say, "Oh, what's going on? What do you need?" And he'd say, "Oh, Mike, need to have this done." "Oh, geez, you know how busy I am." And, he's, I don't know what and he'd turn and say, "I don't know." He'd be mumbling, and then half hour late, 45 minutes later, he'd call you. "You're all set. You're all set. You're all set. Just go out and get it done." And a lot of times on his own time, he'd go in early, he'd stay late. He'd really. The type of employee everyone really wants, no matter what business you're in, no matter what level of work you're in. That's the guy who really keeps things going. And it's a big loss. It's a big loss to the city. He's been retired for a little while now, and certainly the people down there at the DPW garage had a lot of respect for him. Anyone who worked for him had a lot of respect for him. He was integral in things like the Boilermaker and some of the other running races in the city, and just really a top-notch guy. And when you saw him, the attitude he had, even though he was fighting fighting the disease that finally did take him, the attitude he had and the spirit that he had, you never would have known in a million years the sick as he was. So he didn't want to burden you with it. I mean, just a great guy, and a huge, huge loss to the city. It's really, sad to see people like that. Go.
Yeah.
And it's not typical that you have somebody working at a place for 25, 30, 35 years, but 44 years that he worked for the city of Utica. That's unbelievable.
Well, and actually it was 88 because the Hannah years were doubled, I believe.
It felt like it at least.
You're probably, I'm sure it felt like that to him, too.
Yeah.
It is something. And, the DPW does take a lot of hits from a lot of people every time that they'll pull out of their driveway and the streets aren't completely bare if it snowed 3 minutes earlier, and it's a tough job. That whole garage down there does a pretty good job and a tough job, and the guys who work down there are doing what they're told to do by the higher ups in government, and sometimes if things aren't done, it's not the workers' fault. It's many times the fault of the people pointing the fingers about which way to go. So, those guys are the guys who really do go out there and give 100%, and it's a tough job, whether you're plowing the streets, whether you're, cleaning up garbage, filling potholes. I mean, nobody wants to slow down for you in the street anymore, and you want to see how close they can come to you when you're in the middle.
It's just crazy.
Tough job.
Yeah.
Tough job, and it's not recognized nearly enough, and unfortunately it takes the passing of a guy like Mike to really let people know that these guys are out there doing their best and many times over and above for the people of the city.
I was going to throw some other political stuff at you, but I think it's best to leave it right here for now. Okay. Let's do it again soon because I think what you said about Mike should kind of stand on its own. So
I think you're right. You're right. I think there's no reason to put it any further than that. And by all means, it's. And he would have liked that. And the thing that's kind of comical about the whole thing is he wouldn't have liked anything even being talked about.
Right.
The fact that if he heard him, if he was, so fortunate just to be driving along and hearing about himself on the radio, he would just say, "Get out of here!" And he'd be the first one to change the channel on it. So, just type of guy he was. So it's it's good to have It'd be nice to honor him, even, take the sign truck, put maybe his name on the, call it the Fanelli Express or something like that on the boom so everyone sees it and sees and kind of remembers this guy who did give so much. So something like that would be a nice thing to do. Hopefully they make that happen.
Tim Julian, we really appreciate you taking the time this morning.
Billy, thank you. Man.
All right, thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
We'll break.